Amanda Kaur was once a single mother, struggling to make ends meet, until she met Ira, the man who gave her what seemed to be a perfect little family. But behind the facade of happiness, Amanda sensed the storm brewing within her husband. Ira seemed to be battling invisible demons, and he began to suspect that Amanda too was hiding secrets of her own. Did these suspicions drive Ira to despair, and ultimately to his own death? Or was his tragic end not just an act of desperation, but one with a helping hand? New Underwood, South Dakota, November 28, 2010. A frantic 911 call came from 27-year-old Amanda Kaur. In the call, she tearfully stated that her husband, 26-year-old Ira Kaur, had shot himself in the head. When deputies and emergency medical personnel arrived at the scene, they found Amanda waiting outside, looking dazed. She led them down to the basement, where Ira lay motionless. Inside, police discovered Ira lying on a futon, surrounded by a large pool of blood. A gunshot wound to the head had taken his life. Amanda insisted that her husband had committed suicide. She claimed he was depressed, hopeless, and saw no reason to continue living. Everything seemed straightforward, a tragic suicide with nothing suspicious. But as investigators began to verify Amanda's statements, they soon realized that the truth was far from simple. Born in 1983, Amanda Kurowski spent most of her life in the Dakotas, though she grew up in Hillsboro. A popular girl in high school, her life took an unexpected turn when she became a mother at 18. Her son was born in 2001, followed by a daughter in 2003. However, Amanda was a single mother, struggling to raise 2 children on her own. By 2005, at the age of 21, she was living in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment, trying to support her family under difficult circumstances. But in February of that year, her life changed forever when she met Ira Kaur, an Air Force pilot, at a bar in Grand Forks. Ira had grown up in a trailer park, a quiet and sensitive young man. On February 2005, he turned 21 and decided to celebrate this milestone at a bar where fate led him straight to Amanda. Just months into their relationship, Ira told his friends in the military that he and Amanda were married. No longer a single mother, Amanda now had a husband, but life remained challenging for their young family. She worked at a convenience store on the base while studying to become a hairstylist. Meanwhile, Ira's Air Force salary wasn't enough to cover their expenses, so he took on night shifts delivering pizzas to earn extra money. Despite the hardships, Ira never complained about supporting Amanda's children. In fact, he genuinely loved and cared for them as if they were his own. In 2007, Ira and his family moved to Ellsworth Air Force Base near Rapid City. Despite being busy with their new life, he continued his education and graduated with a bachelor's degree in 2009. His job at the Officer Candidate School opened up promising career prospects, marking a significant advancement in his professional life. Once settled in Ellsworth, the couple decided to buy a house and started planning for their future. After nearly 5 years together, the children were already calling Ira Dad. To make this bond official, Amanda and Ira filed for adoption. A stable career, 2 growing children, and the prospect of expanding their family, it all seemed like a great accomplishment for a couple still in their 20s. However, not everything was going smoothly. Some of Ira's friends noticed that pursuing a master's degree was putting immense pressure on him. The couple had little time for each other, and they tried to rekindle their bond by going out for drinks. But by the summer of 2010, Ira had almost stopped going out, while Amanda continued. She went to the bar 2 to 3 times a week, not because of alcohol addiction, but simply to relax and socialize. At the bar, Amanda often chatted with Kim Karp, the bar owner. In one conversation, she admitted that she didn't necessarily love Ira. She knew he would take care of her and the kids, and for her, that was enough. But over time, Amanda felt that Ira was becoming increasingly emotionally needy. According to her, he often cried, seeking comfort, and was becoming more emotionally dependent on her. Was this just a sign of a troubled marriage? Or was there something deeper and more unsettling happening in their family? Tension was mounting for Ira. He worked full-time from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. every day, while also carrying the responsibilities of being a husband and father of two. The physical and emotional exhaustion was taking a toll on him. Amanda confided in Kim that Ira had fallen into deep depression. According to her, by September he had become so desperate that he went to the garage and attempted to hang himself. Was this a tragic warning of what was to come? Or was there something more sinister behind his despair? On November 28, 2010, a panic 911 call was made. Amanda Kaur, her voice trembling, reported that she had just found her husband, Air Force pilot Ira Kaur, dead in the basement. When police arrived at the scene, they found Amanda sobbing, leading them to where Ira's body lay on a futon mattress, covered with a blanket. A gunshot wound to the head had taken his life. Initially, all signs pointed to suicide. On Ira's bedside, officers found a note in which he mentioned the pressure of work weighing down on him. But one crucial detail made an officer question the situation. If Ira had shot himself, where was the gun? Amanda explained that after discovering her husband, she had picked up the gun and put it away for safety, not wanting the children to see it. She showed the police where she had placed it on top of the refrigerator, wrapped in a towel. The weapon was a Bersa, .45 caliber pistol. After confirming Ira's death, paramedics left the scene, while investigators from the sheriff's department arrived to conduct a thorough examination. And that was when they discovered something unusual. Ira hadn't been shot once, but twice. Blood in Ira's hair had concealed a second gunshot wound. This immediately shattered the suicide theory that Amanda had described. No one could shoot themselves in the head twice. Ira's body was transported to the Rapid City morgue for an autopsy, while Amanda was taken to a public safety building for a formal interrogation. The investigation into Ira Kaur's death had now taken a dramatic turn. It was no longer just a suicide, but a mystery filled with disturbing questions. During questioning, Amanda Kaur insisted to investigators that her husband, Ira, had been struggling emotionally for a long time. She claimed he had previously attempted suicide multiple times, and this time he had succeeded. Amanda stated that she had actually heard the first gunshot. According to her, at around 7 a.m., she was lying in bed when she was startled by a loud noise coming from the basement. Worried, she went to the basement door and called down to Ira, asking what had happened. But according to her, Ira responded, "Nothing." Believing that he had simply dropped something or had gone back to sleep, Amanda continued her morning as usual. She took the children out for breakfast and went to the Ellsworth Air Force Base commissary for groceries. At approximately 12:30 p.m., when she returned home and was putting the groceries away, Amanda walked to the top of the basement stairs and called for Ira. This time he didn't respond. Sensing that something was wrong, she went downstairs and found her husband lying motionless in a pool of blood. Panicked, she pulled a blanket over him, picked up the gun, carried it upstairs, and called 911. Everything seemed logical until investigators asked one key question: where did Ira get the gun? Amanda explained that since Ira was in the Air Force, he wanted her to own a firearm for self-protection. After much persuasion, she finally agreed, and they purchased a gun registered in her name. But something didn't sit right with the investigators. What kind of man pressures his wife into buying a gun for protection, only to then use that very gun to kill himself? The following day, investigators received the medical examiner's autopsy report. It confirmed that the first shot had been to the side of Ira's head, while the second shot was in the center of his head. According to the medical examiner, the first gunshot was not immediately fatal, but it was severe enough to render Ira brain dead. The examiner was adamant Ira would not have been able to fire a second shot. Ira hadn't died by suicide. Someone had pulled the trigger again. On the morning of November 29, 2010, exactly 24 hours after Amanda Kaur's frantic 911 call, news of Ira's death had spread throughout the small town of New Underwood and Ellsworth Air Force Base. But not everyone believed that Ira had taken his own life. Investigators from the Pennington County Sheriff's Department shared the same doubts, not just because Ira had been shot twice, but because of a crucial finding in the autopsy report. Ira could not have fired the second shot himself. At this point, Amanda's suicide narrative had almost completely collapsed. Investigators traced the .45 caliber pistol that had ended Ira's life and discovered that it had been purchased at a pawn shop. When questioned, Amanda claimed she had bought the gun at Ira's request. She said that her husband and their 2 children had waited outside in the car while she went inside to make the purchase. However, security camera footage from the parking lot revealed a different truth. Amanda had gone to the pawn shop alone, without Ira or the children. It didn't stop there. The shopkeeper also vividly remembered Amanda. He recalled that he had initially tried to sell her a .22 caliber pistol, but Amanda had immediately rejected it. Her words at the time were unforgettable. "I need a gun that can take down an average-sized man." As investigators left the pawn shop, they were nearly certain Amanda Kaur was not the grieving widow of a suicide victim. She was a murderer. But the biggest question remained. Why did Amanda want Ira dead? That same day, the case took a shocking turn when Ira's close friend, James Mills, called the sheriff's department with a startling lead. According to Mills, Ira had long harbored suspicions he believed his wife, Amanda, was having an affair. Her alleged lover? None other than Dallas Madsen, a local ranch owner. Mills revealed that Amanda and Dallas frequently met at a bar, and their relationship seemed far more intimate than just friendship. 2 months before his death, Ira had confronted Amanda about the affair. Immediately, investigators headed to the local bar to verify the claim. The bar owner confirmed that Ira hadn't just confronted his wife, he had also directly questioned Dallas about his relationship with Amanda. But how had Dallas reacted? Was he just an unfaithful lover, or did he play a bigger role in Ira's death? And most importantly, if Ira had discovered Amanda's infidelity, was that the reason she wanted him gone? 2 days after the shooting, on November 30, the police decided to bring in Dallas Madsen for questioning. At first, Dallas denied all accusations, insisting that he was just a friend of Amanda. But when pressed, he was forced to admit the truth. He and Amanda were romantically involved. However, Dallas firmly maintained that he had nothing to do with Ira's death and had no knowledge of what happened that night. The police set Dallas aside and turned their attention back to Amanda. Immediately after questioning Dallas, investigators confronted Amanda Kaur. When they informed her that Dallas had cooperated with authorities, she began to panic. She became flustered, confused, and visibly anxious. Finally, she decided to confess. According to Amanda, Ira had fired the first shot himself. When she came downstairs, he was still alive. As she turned to call 911, Ira stopped her and begged her to end his suffering. The police were immediately skeptical. With his first gunshot wound, Ira wouldn't have been conscious enough to speak, let alone plead for Amanda to kill him. Investigators continued pressing her. When caught in a lie, Amanda quickly changed her story again. This time, she claimed that Ira was holding the gun when she entered the basement. She tried to wrestle it away from him, and during the struggle, the gun accidentally went off. But the police didn't believe her. Ira's wounds didn't match a struggle for the gun. Cornered, Amanda finally admitted the truth. She had murdered her husband. The police immediately arrested Amanda Kaur, charging her with first-degree murder. On June 7, 2011, 28-year-old Amanda Kaur walked into a South Dakota courtroom to face charges for killing her husband. Since the beginning of the investigation, Amanda had changed her story multiple times. First statement, she claimed she found her husband dead when she returned home. Second statement, she confessed to helping him die after a failed suicide attempt. Third statement, she insisted she accidentally shot Ira while trying to stop him from taking his own life. Final story, she described a struggle for the gun saying that Ira was gravely wounded after the first shot and begged her to end his suffering. She reluctantly fired the second shot, but the police didn't believe any of her stories. Ira's injuries proved he couldn't have pleaded for anything after the first shot. Then came the most damning evidence. Amanda's internet search history revealed a chilling truth. She had researched firearms, comparing different calibers .22.40, .45, knowing that a .22 caliber gun wasn't powerful enough to kill someone with a single shot. She specifically chose a .45 caliber pistol, a gun strong enough to ensure an instant, fatal outcome. On the morning of November 28, 2010, while the small town of New Underwood was still enveloped in tranquility, a silent tragedy unfolded in the basement of Amanda Kaur's home. Just hours before the shooting, Amanda accessed two websites with chilling content: how to shoot someone in the head for an instant kill. She then walked down to the basement, aimed directly at her husband, Ira Kaur, and pulled the trigger. However, the first shot did not kill Ira immediately. Amanda went upstairs as if nothing had happened and continued preparing breakfast for her children. Her plan was clear: wait for Ira to bleed to death while going about her daily routine. But there was one thing Amanda did not anticipate. Ira was still alive when she returned home in the afternoon. Seeing him barely clinging to life, she went back online searching for answers. Why hadn't he died yet? At that moment, Amanda realized the first shot hadn't been fatal enough. Coldly, she walked down to the basement again and fired a second shot, ending Ira's life. To cover up her crime, she staged the scene as a suicide, even planting a mysterious suicide note next to his body. Prosecutors feared that Amanda's fabricated suicide scenario might sway the jury. To prevent this, they offered her a plea deal. If she admitted guilt, her charge would be reduced to first-degree manslaughter, carrying a maximum sentence of 65 years, instead of facing life imprisonment for first-degree murder. On June 7, 2011, Amanda entered the South Dakota courtroom. Before the judge, she pleaded guilty but still clung to her false narrative, insisting that the first shot was accidental during a struggle. She admitted to firing the second shot, but claimed it was to end her husband's suffering. Prosecutors were frustrated by this half-hearted confession. They approached the judge with an unusual request. If the judge agreed, they were prepared to take her to trial for first-degree murder. On September 19, 2011, the South Dakota courtroom was tenser than ever. After hours of intense arguments, both sides fought to present their strongest cases. But there was a major issue. There wasn't enough concrete evidence to convict Amanda Kaur of first-degree murder, meaning it could not be definitively proven that she had premeditated her husband's killing. In the end, the judge issued the verdict. Amanda was sentenced to over 32 years in prison before becoming eligible for parole. While it wasn't the harshest possible sentence, Ira Kaur's family and friends felt satisfied. Justice had been served, but was it enough?